here's why you're failing at setting goals and why goal setting might actually be something you don't want to do anymore moving forward. After watching this video, you may never go out and set goals the same again, because here's what I know. Most of us set goals, but not everybody achieves them, hardly at all. And I'm going to break that down for you, why and how to stop that vicious cycle. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you an opportunity to actually participate in a really amazing program that we have been using for years with our group, and I'm going to extend that to you as well. So go ahead, stick around for this video, all about how to actually turn your goals into completed accomplishments. Now, before we start that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We always give you the best, most relevant information on all things real estate. And here I'm going to help you with production. So let's just jump right in, because here's what I know. A lot of us set goals and we do not achieve them. Now, I'm going to show you this real quick. Let's go through a little story. Let's imagine with me, if you will. Okay, so you and I, we're buddies, and you're going to make a flight out to where I live here in San Diego. And you're like, hey, Isaac, I'm coming on November 3rd, and I'm going to fly in. And I'm like, yeah, I'm super excited. We're going to hang out together. All right. So it's the night before, you're packing up, and you shoot me the text and you go, hey, Isaac, I land at 9:30 a.m. Do you still plan on picking me up? And I respond, that's the goal. How do you feel? Do you feel really confident? Or are you like me and you go, man, I think I might have to be ordering an Uber or plan on a taxi, because that's the goal. Isn't it weird that immediately when you heard me say that, you knew that I was not committed? So here, I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened, but somehow in our society, we've decided that a goal does not mean something that will be accomplished. A goal kind of means something that would be nice if it happened, but probably won't. Hey, Dad, are you going to be able to do that thing? Well, that's the goal, buddy. It's usually followed up with, but who knows? I've also got these other things going, right? That's the goal. Goals have been relegated to these things that we hope happen. Now, here's the other reason. So they lack specificity. We've allowed them to do that. And here's what ends up happening. There's actually a lot of research on this. When you set a goal, there's two things that happen. The time it takes you to set the goal and really build it out, right? A target. I'm going to sell 25 homes this year. I'm going to do 2 transactions a month. I'm going to blank. Right? Well, what happens is we feel really accomplished when we do the work. We're filling out forms. We're like reverse engineering our year. We're doing some math and go, okay, well, if I want to make this much money, I got to sell this many houses. Blah, blah, blah. And by the end of that day, we feel very accomplished. Right? And in addition to that, when you start sharing your goals with other people, there's actually research that shows that you get a dopamine hit just by sharing it, because people praise you. You go, you know what, this year, in front of all of the other people inside the brokerage, inside of the team, or with my family, I'm going to sell 30 houses this year. And a lot of times you actually get praise when people start challenges like 75 hard or other things like that, where they go, hey, I'm going to do this thing. I'm setting out day 4, 75 hard, and people cheer them on. You actually get the same dopaminergic response. Your dopamine releases inside your body as though you accomplished it. So a lot of times your drive depletes because you're getting praise for being on day 4 of a 75-day challenge. So sometimes you don't actually finish. Go ahead, check the last person that shared a progression through their challenge. Chances are they didn't show you the completed challenge. It's kind of crazy. You might even be one of those people. I know I've done that in the past. So here's the challenge with goal setting, is that goals are these things that we hope to accomplish but likely won't. They lack specific activities and behaviors. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is introduce something called commitments. Now, I know you already know that word, and some of you might even be afraid of commitments, but here's what I'm talking about. It's specific commitments to activities and behaviors that support those goals. So let's go back to that conversation where I said, that imaginary conversation where you're flying down to San Diego to hang out with me. And you text me and you go, hey, Isaac, I'm landing at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, your time. Are you still planning on picking me up? And I go, that's the goal. And as a matter of fact, I'm committed to leaving my house by 8:45 a.m. to make sure I'm there on time. Now, how confident are you that I'm actually going to be the person that picks you up from the airport? The reason why is because I included a specific commitment that supports that goal. The specific commitment I said is I'm committed to leaving by 8:45, right? And so that's the goal. And I can even go further than that. And because I'm committed to leaving at 8:45, I know that my alarm should be set by this time, and I'm committed to, not snoozing. I'm also committed to tonight beforehand getting my coffee all ready to go so that I could just pretty much jump in the car a couple minutes later, right? Like those are specific commitments that support the goal of being there by 9:30 to pick you up as soon as your flight lands. Right, that's what we're talking about here. So here's what I want to help you understand in this super short video is that the mechanism of making specific commitments that support your goals is the best way to accomplish it. So here's what that might look like. Let's say you're interested in selling 2 homes a month every single month like clockwork. Well, what are the things that you're going to have to do? So it might be like, hey, I'm running open houses and I'm following up with leads on my database and making prospecting calls throughout the week. Let's say those are the 3 types of business that you generate, or the 3 activities you do to generate business. Well, the first thing you have to realize is you have to set targets around those things, but they have to be something that you can control, something that can be measured. There's going to need to be an accountability measure or accountability piece to that. You're also going to want to be able to get and give feedback, and you need to revise and repeat that whole process. So here's what that looks like. Now, before I jump into the exact example, what I want to also share is some of the challenges that you run into when making commitments or setting goals is that we don't get specific and we don't have something that we can control. So a good example would be this. I would get this a lot when we're running accountability groups, right? It's, hey, my goal is to sell 2 houses a month. That's great. My specific commitment is I'm going to book 3 appointments this week. Okay. Well, the problem with that is you can't control how many people say yes. Right? You can make 1,000 calls and maybe all 1,000 of them answer, and all 1,000 of them are ready, willing, and able to buy real estate, but 998 of them are on vacation next week or this week. So you can only hold 2 appointments, right? So no matter how much work you put in, you don't have control over who says yes to an appointment. A more specific commitment that supports that goal would be, I'm going to make 50 outbound calls every single day to my database 5 days this week until I hit 3 appointments, whichever comes first, right? So in other words, I'm making 50 calls a day. That's 250 calls this week to that specific part of my database. And if I get 3 appointments on Monday, great, I'm done for the week. Or if by Friday I don't have 3 appointments, I know that I still am going to make my 250 dials, right? That's a commitment that supports that goal. Okay, and now you might even say, or I'm willing to expand up to 500 calls on Friday to make sure I can give myself the best chance at getting that 3rd appointment, but my commitment is not 3 appointments, right? Another one that's very common is, hey, I want to make this amount of contacts per day. Well, let's be real. There are days that are great contact days and days that aren't. There are days where you crush the contact game, and there are days where you do not. And so rather than doing that, what I always say is it's an either or, whichever comes first conversation. I'm committed to 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week, or 20 contacts a day, whichever I hit first. In other words, if I hit 20 contacts in the first 60 minutes of dialing, I'm done. Now, if I have not hit my 20th contact by an hour and 15 into it, I know that I'm still going to go for an extra 15 minutes. And then at the end of the day, I can say, hey, I set out and I honored my commitment. Because let's be real, if you had 8 hours a day to prospect, like that would be ideal, and you could sit there and dial until you had all 20 conversations, but that's not reality. The majority of people that set out to do 20 contacts a day, come hell or high water, end up failing over time. Maybe they nail it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 9 days in a row, but doing that 30 days in a row, doing that week in, week out is darn near impossible because life happens. You get sick. Somebody actually says, yeah, I do want to go see a home, but the thing is, I can only do it on my lunch break in 90 minutes. Right? Well, then what if you only got 16 contacts for the day? What are you going to blow off that appointment and also your kid's soccer practice? Like, probably not realistic. So you want to figure out what is the actual commitment that you can control, that in an ideal world, the outcomes end up giving you the results that you want. So that's a really important thing, because if you don't do that, you end up setting these goals and these targets and even these things that you call commitments, but you can't necessarily honor them because you don't craft them for the real world. And so here's what we do. We meet every single week for 6 weeks straight, and then we take a few weeks off. And every single week we make commitments. So we state our goal for the quarter, right? Because we do this on a quarterly. We set goals quarterly. We live in a 90-day world in our businesses and our organizations, right? And so what we do is we say, here's my goal for the quarter. That's great. And that's where most people stop. We say the specific commitments that I have this week that will support that goal for the quarter are as follows. And what we do is we have 2 professional and 1 personal that we do. And the professional ones are things like, I'm going to run 3 open houses this week. Now let's say that's the one. Well, unless you know you have 3 listings that are easy to get the open houses for, that's actually not a great commitment. Because here's the thing, if you have no listings, but you're saying, I'm going to book 3 open houses this week, who's to say agents are willing to let you hold their house open? So you're already set up for failure. The actual commitment on something like that, and in our group, this is what we help each other craft, right? Is the commitment probably sounds something more like this. I'm committed to spending an hour and a half Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday calling agents to potentially get open houses for this weekend. And my target is 3. So what that means is if I make calls on Monday and I get 3 open houses booked for this weekend, I'm done. At least with that commitment for the week. Now, if it's Thursday and I've called and I've only gotten 2 by then for this following weekend or the following week, whatever my commitment is, but I've been able to spend, and I actually know I spent Monday 90 minutes, Tuesday 90 minutes, Wednesday 90 minutes, Thursday 90 minutes, and I know I did that, I've still technically honored my commitment. Right? And so what that means is this, I'm able to actually show up to my next accountability meeting and go, I honored my commitment. And I don't want you to underestimate how important it is to build that momentum, to build a body of work that you can rely on and know, hey, I honor commitments, because you're building what's called self-trust. And self-trust is one of the most critical aspects inside of real estate. When you're running your business, you want to have high self-trust so that you know that when I set out and commit to something, it's actually going to get done. And that's one of the biggest pieces. So the components of this are, 1, it has to be something that you can control, and you have to create those, well, what if the outcome doesn't exactly work out? Cool, it's probably a time commitment, right? So that's what you'll notice. We'll say, look at an outcome, 3 appointments or 90 minutes a day, whichever comes first. So it's like the outcome or a time commitment. Next, it has to be something that you can easily measure. Did you or did you not spend the 90 minutes making those dials? Next, they have to have some degree of accountability around it. 1 is we state it every week, and then we come back and say, did you or did you not honor your commitment? Right? In addition to that, we have daily check-ins in that week, in between the meeting periods. Then we need to be able to give one another feedback so that we can maybe make tweaks. Hey, you know what? Maybe you should try this, or call it this time instead of that time. Then you got to revise your plan for the next week and have those commitments, and then you repeat that process over and over again. I promise, if you do something like that, where you have an accountability group around there, that will be magic for you. Now, here's the promise that I made at the beginning. If you're at all interested in participating in a group like this, we will be launching a new one here in about the next 30 days. So if you're watching this video, go ahead and comment and say accountability. And what I will do is I will drop you a link to a form where you can register and potentially get into one of our private groups where we do this with agents. So, but be ready, it's a super high accountability group. And so if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and drop accountability in the comments. And if not, I want you to take this and learn from it and say, how can I build in better accountability systems and stop relying on just these fanciful goals that I'm setting and actually accomplish stuff? Because when you do this, I promise you will accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Now, if you're also interested in learning about how you can partner with me at Real Estate CEOs, how we can help you grow your business, get started with video, and a ton of other things to help you really scale, click the link in the description below. And you can grab some one-on-one time with me. I'm happy to help you strategize and talk to you all about how we partner with agents and team leaders just like you all across the country. Until next time, keep thriving in real estate.